Um, Pitching matchups are where you gotta start. Baseball's so funny. Like you can have a team like the Rockies being favored over a team like the Dodgers. Maybe not this season, but in years past, maybe. Where if the Dodgers have a bad pitcher on the mound and the Rockies have their ace going, maybe Kyle Freeland from like 2019, but that can be a situation where the Rockies are actually favored in that matchup, where you just be used to in any other sport. Like if it's the NBA, the Thunder are going to be favored in every game of the NBA Finals because the Thunder are how are they made up, and that's how a sport is. But you've got 5 players on the floor. Baseball, there's someone new on the mound every single day, so you really have to break down those individual pitcher matchups, and that's really important.
Welcome back to Big League Buzz, the MLB podcast from Sportsnaut, where we dive deep into the heart of baseball. I'm your host, Scott Gulbransen, and today we're joined by Andrew Caley, senior betting analyst at covers.com and a betting expert who's all about the numbers when it comes to MLB. Andrew's got a knack for finding value in the chaos. That's what we need in this baseball season. And we're here to talk about the betting basics around baseball, the 2025 pennant races, and who's got the edge in the hunt for the World Series. Andrew, thanks for joining us here on Big League Buzz.
Thanks for having me. You're right. Baseball betting is chaos, but I love all those numbers, like you said, and there's edges to be found. Like if you're ready to dive into those numbers, there's definitely edges to be found out there for the casual bettors.
That's right. And see, on this show, we always bring people stories. We talk to players, we talk to coaches, we talk to journalists, you name it, all about finding that edge. So we're glad to have you here today. All right. For someone new, now, a lot of people might listen to us be baseball fans, but as betting becomes more ubiquitous, obviously we have the state situation, we have mobile betting, all this stuff. It can feel, I think, overwhelming because you think about money lines, run lines, totals, and player props. Where should a beginner start, and what key things do they need to kind of educate themselves on before they place their first bet?
Well, you said it. Baseball and sports betting is like a perfect storm of chaos, and there's just so much information coming to you all the time, and there's a lot to sort through. So that can be intimidating to some bettors for sure. Um, Pitching matchups are where you got to start. Baseball's so funny. Like you can have a team like the Rockies being favored over a team like the Dodgers. Maybe not this season, but in years past, maybe. Where if the Dodgers have a bad pitcher on the mound and the Rockies have their ace going, maybe Kyle Freeland from like 2019, but that can be a situation where the Rockies are actually favored in that matchup, where you just be used to in any other sport. Like if it's the NBA, the Thunder are going to be favored in every game of the NBA Finals because the Thunder are how are they made up, and that's how a sport is. But you've got 5 players on the floor. Baseball, there's someone new on the mound every single day, so you really have to break down those individual pitcher matchups, and that's really important. Two, I like eliminating variables for beginners. So
Mm.
instead of just looking at straight money lines or totals, first 5 inning bets can be really great because then you can just focus on those starting pitchers and those individual matchups that teams have against that said starting pitcher, right? So you take away the variable that is the bullpen. Some teams have great starting pitching, but terrible bullpens, and you can be winning your bet through 5 innings, and then the bullpen comes in, and then all of a sudden, hey, that great win looks like an L right now. And baseball can change so quickly that it's just eliminating as many variables as possible is a really great thing. Another thing that new bettors should look at is hot and cold streaks. Unlike other sports, because there's so much data, all of that data, and baseball is a number sport, it's hard for the algorithms and the computers and the sports books to kind of like properly adjust to a hot streak. They just look at someone's batting average or OPS or anything like that, and they're like, they take it over a span of time, and this is the value you'll get for them to get a hit or an RBI or anything like that. But if someone's hot, those algorithms kind of don't adjust for that. But we, as a human being watching the games, that, like, hey, like Aaron Judge, his May was unreal. Like, you're still getting even money for him to get an RBI. That might not seem like a great bet, but like he's doing it almost every single day. So, yeah, that's going to be a good bet for a while. Same with cold streaks. And you just have to be paying attention to those situations because there's a lot of variance in baseball. It comes back and forth. Another thing that I think new bettors should look at is advanced numbers now. That's the nerd
Oh
baseball
yeah.
nerd in me talking. We lived in a world where wins were the number one stat for pitchers for a long time, and that's just not the case anymore. So you really, and I think even a stat like ERA is becoming a little out of the, like, a little being pushed to the side a little bit for things like FIP and expected ERA, expecting batting average. You've got to go out and find these sites that have the proper stats now, because not all hits are created equal. They're just
Mhm.
not, like, and those numbers, like a batting average, doesn't care if you hit a home run or a soft single. That's just going to be the same number in a batting average altogether. So find those advanced numbers, eliminate the variables here, and starting pitching. Those are the three things I would say to focus on much. Other things like weather, and once you get a little more advanced, you can start finding the markets that give baseball bettors edge, like things like RBI props or hitter strikeouts. There's something that are people are like, will a hitter strike out how many times in a game? Like those are, once you get a little more advanced, you get in those and find those edges in those places. But those three things are what you start with, and don't be afraid to go against the grain.
Yeah, and Andrew, I mean, the numbers, I'm a baseball geek too, right? So even before I started, and I started exactly where you were at. When I was in college, I turned 21, I went to UNLV, so I lived in Las Vegas at the time. And so I started as a baseball nut. I followed baseball. I played fantasy baseball. I did all that stuff. I know you play fantasy as well.
Oh yeah.
So I did that, and I started exactly where you said with pitchers because I knew that even if you had a frontline pitcher, a number one on a team that's not doing very well that year, but they're facing a better team. The pitcher, you can always look at that, and I knew pitching, so I thought, I'm going to start dabbling a little bit in doing this because I know it at least for very much. Look, nothing's for sure, but it's a great point to start there. Also, you're just familiar with it. If you're a baseball fan, you're going to be familiar with the pitching, especially if it's teams you follow. So, very good advice there. Now, what about starting when you talk about going to specific sports books, right? So people got more opportunity than ever. They have more choices than ever. How important is the right one to choose for a newbie?
Oh, it's everything, right? But at the same time, you want to find ones that are trustworthy, guys that are going to let you get your money in and out quickly. Finding someone that's going to give you a good bonus when you sign up is nice as well. But it's not about choosing just one. The best thing is giving yourself multiple options. Like if you're really going to get into the sports betting, you're going to want to have multiple options because not every line is going to be the same. Somebody might have the Yankees on the money line at minus 115 and someone might have them at minus 125. So like you're going to want to save that 10 cents if you're looking to make that bet. So having your options open is the number one thing I would say. There are a few out there, but that I don't want to give a personal grade, I guess, on each and
Yeah.
every sports book, but
But shop around, right?
shop around, and find out what's good for you. Like there will be ones like maybe you get into a groove with a certain market, like, and you found a book that like, hey, this book really does great with pitcher strikeouts, and they're giving me consistent, really good odds for pitcher strikeouts, and yeah, so shop around and find what works best for you.
Good advice. All right, so now let's get deep into the 2025 MLB season. Obviously, we're getting close to the All-Star break. Pennant races are heating up. What are some of the hottest bets you're seeing right now? And how do you see the AL and NL pennant races shaping up? Who's offering the best day in, day out betting value right now in your mind?
Oh, day in, day out. That's a really good question. I think it's the Tampa Bay Rays right now on an everyday money line betting situation. And like we shouldn't be shocked because they seem to do this every single season. You're like, they just traded it away, everybody. They're giving up. But they just prove time and again that they have arguably the best scouting department in all of baseball because they just keep bringing guys up and signing this guy off the trash heap to be a starter, and they keep winning. We're recording this on the morning of June the 30th, and they are a game and a half behind the Yankees right now
Crazy.
in the American League East. Uh, I think you can get them at about plus 400 to win the American League East. I don't hate that at all. They're also plus 1,000 to win the pennant. Like that's probably like because you've got the Yankees at about 3 to 1, the Tigers are about 3 to 1, and the Astros are 4 to 1. at almost more than double the price, you can get the Rays right now. Like
Mm.
that's a pretty good spot to be in. Like they're gonna fight all season long. They're one of the best coach teams in baseball. Like I find that the American League is really interesting this year because every team is very flawed in one way or another. Like we, we talk about the Yankees here in a second if you want. Like I don't know if I believe in the Tigers fully or not yet, and the American League West, I just don't know what we're going to get out of there. So a team that's consistent like the Rays and they do all the little things well again. That 9 to 1, 10 to 1 price for them is looking really good right now. In the National League, I maybe not to win the pennant, but one of the hottest bets I'm seeing right like no, but not enough people are talking about the Cincinnati Reds. Like they are only 5 games out of the lead in the National League Central, and you can get them at 16 to 1 to win that division. I just with Hunter Green coming back and now Chase Burns looking like an absolute stud for them. Um, like I still love Nick Lodolo. Like they just
Mhm.
have the starting pitching. That lineup led by Ellie De La Cruz is dynamic, and I think having Terry Francona there is like a super underrated move for like it was just the perfect move for them to make to like get this young core and galvanize them together. Like I think they're going to be a really fun team to bet and watch in the second half. And 16 to 1 to win the National League Central looks like a great bet to me.
Yeah, and Andrew, you had to bring it up because they just took 2 or 3 from my Padres, and I saw it
I'm
in
sorry.
person. I saw it in person, so it hurts a little bit. But you're right about the Reds, and it goes back to your first point about new betters with pitchers because the Reds, they got some bullpen issues. So we'll see if they're active around the trading deadline. But let me ask you this, because we're talking about favorites, we're talking about some of these kind of underdog teams or maybe teams that are sneaky good that people don't realize. How do you balance betting on favorites like the Dodgers, Yankees, you mentioned those guys, versus riskier plays or maybe kind of under the cover plays like the Tigers or Mets or Reds or Rays?
It all comes down to a day-to-day thing. Like baseball, like I said, it is a very pitcher-based thing. Like I can see something like, hey, maybe the Yankees are minus 150 today, but like Max Fried has really dominated the Baltimore Orioles so far this season. So yeah, this there's you can find value in a minus 150 price for those who don't know that is laying 150 to win $100 or as opposed to say like the Orioles would probably be plus 125 on that line. So your natural thinking was like, there's might be more value on the Orioles there, but it really depends on the pitching matchups on that day. So it is a bit of a slog sometimes because you have to put the work in. But that's what people like I'm here for and you're here for. Like we'll put in the work for you. You come follow us and we'll release some stuff for you. And but it's if you put the work in, there's definitely spots to be found. It's a hard balance, but it is based on an individual pitching matchup every single day.
Well, you mentioned earlier the AL East, of course, talking about the Yankees and the Rays right there with them. But we look at other races like the AL West, which you talked about, which has been kind of crazy. The NL West, the Dodgers. Everybody picked the Dodgers and sticking with them, kind of to go to the World Series with that lineup. And now Otani back on the bump, I should say. When you look at those divisions, what two divisions from a betting standpoint, where is there good opportunity in close divisions for people to take a look from a wagering perspective?
It's not your National League West. I'm so sorry. I'm a pseudo Padres fan too. Like I'm actually a Blue Jays fan,
Uh-huh.
but I spent some time in San Diego and I love it there. So kind of adopted the Padres too. I want to bet them very badly at plus 2,800, but to see what the Dodgers have done despite the injuries, like you're just like this is
Crazy.
an unfair juggernaut team, and they are priced the way they are priced properly. I would say so. We're going to avoid that division. I think there's some value in the Mariners in the National League West at about 4 to 1 because I don't believe in the Astros a whole lot at this
I'm
point.
there with you.
The pitching is very inconsistent for them, and the lineup is very dependent on like Jeremy Pena has been insane recently, and he's obviously going to cool off at some point. Jose Altuve is not the same guy, and Jordan Alvarez has been battling injuries all season, so that kind of gives me a little pause for the Astros. But the Mariners, obviously, Cal Raleigh has been one of the greatest stories of baseball this season. He's been a lot of fun, but his prominence this year has really like put a shadow over on the fact that Julio Rodriguez is having a nice little season again. Like he's kind of found his swing again. Jorge Blanco is having a comeback season. Like that whole lineup, Randy Rosarena is hitting the ball more consistent again. Like it's a solid lineup now, which was the problem for them. They'd had this great starting pitching, and then it just wouldn't add up on with the offense. But now it's been the pitching that's kind of let them down a bit. But I think Gilbert's getting healthy, obviously, and he's taken the next step to becoming a true ace. George Kirby, obviously, he was rusty and spent a lot of time on the injured list for the first a few months. I like what Brian Wu has shown this year, and as long as Luis Castillo doesn't completely fall off a cliff, like this is a team like they have a deep rotation. What we talked about, like the rotation is good. You have a good rotation like that, you're going to be having a chance to win more ball games, and the offense is there to balance it out this season. So at that price, I think the Mariners are a good one. Another one, I want to say that we shouldn't count out the Mets in the National League East
Yeah.
right now, especially at plus money, plus 140, plus 150 in that range, because they are talented. And the overall numbers say they're still good, which is kind of funny. But we talked about how streaks are funny things in baseball. So I think it'll even out. So maybe a little bit the Mets at plus 150 because they're still only a game and a half behind the Phillies at this point. They're just in a bad place right now, obviously. Giving up 30 runs to arguably the worst run in baseball, or worst team in baseball in the Pirates, and only scoring for yourself in a sweep is a tough look for them. But like I said, Soto's been worth every penny at this point. And if they get some guys back from injury as well for that rotation, I think they can kind of balance it out. And maybe this is a kind of like a buy low point on the Mets right now.
Andrew, let me ask you this question because the Cubs offense has surprised me, and I think everybody. Beginning in spring training, I thought the Reds would win the division. Then the Cubs come out of nowhere. It looks like they're probably going to win 100 games here. Do they have the pitching to go all the way? And are we seeing any movement in the odds there?
Not too much at this point, because the offense has been so good. I think they need to make a move. I think they're another arm away, which they've proven that they are willing to go make those moves. They need a Monaga to come back and be their best pitcher again. Obviously, losing Justin Steele. If they had Justin Steele still, I think they would be in a much better spot right now. But so that's really obviously hurt their chances a bit. And we'll just see. Like the offense has been super impressive, but we've said it a bunch of times here. Baseball is a game of so many ebbs and flows, and luckily for them, the flows for offense has just been nonstop at this point. But baseball's funny; like things can turn off real quick. I obviously love P. Crow Armstrong and what that lineup is doing. Getting Kyle Tucker
Oh, huge.
has been just a huge part for that lineup. One of my favorite bets going right now for is Kyle. I bet Kyle Tucker RBIs almost every single day because sports books don't seem to understand that he is as productive as he is for some reason, particularly against left-handed pitching. Kyle Tucker against left-handed pitching because he's got crazy reverse splits. He doesn't care if he faces lefties. One of the best value bets out there right now. They're in a very good position, but I do think they need a little more starting pitching. And just like it's a really competitive division right now too. Like it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be tough. Like we talked about the Reds, they're 5 games back, but they're in fourth place right now. They've still got to contend with the Brewers and the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Andrew, last question for you. You have your last $100. You can only make one bet on the World Series. Who are you picking right now when you look at the odds, when you look at the way the teams are? I know there's a long way to go, but if you had to do it today, who are you betting on to win the World Series?
Besides my Blue Jays, of course, they've got a very big series against the Yankees coming up, so I'm kind of hopeful right now. Um, I don't hate the Padres at plus
Wow.
4,000. Like, I still think they're better than the Giants. I know the Giants made a big move to get Rafael Devers, but I just love the Padres team as a whole. I really do. And this is another team that has proven that they will go out and get arms. They'll get bats at deadlines. Hopefully, they don't decide this is a sell-off spot for them this year because sometimes it feels like, oh, we're gonna move guys out. Oh, but we're gonna be buyers at the same time. I like the makeup of the team. I like the pitching. They get a couple guys back in the rotation. That could help. But they go out and get an arm. Like I think they could be in. They just need to get in the wild card round. The division's toast. But they get
Yeah.
in, and they are capable of winning the World Series. They were one of my bet. I kind of liked them at the beginning of the season. I love how Tatis is playing. I love how Machado is playing. At that price, I think that is the bet I'm making with
Well,
$100.
and I'm biased there. And for new betters, right? I mean, the one thing you always do is you don't bet with your heart, right? Use the data, use all that stuff. But every year I bet the Padres would win the World Series as a future. Doesn't matter how bad or how good they are.
Oh, that
So I'm already there, right, Andrew? But hey, they haven't been hitting recently, so that'll come back. And like you said, if they can get an arm,
ebbs
it'll be
and flows.
fascinating. But just great stuff. And of course, you're a Blue Jays fan too, so you share a little that connection, that trade, that Joe Carter trade back in the
Oh,
day between the Padres, Tony Fernandez, and all that. While it broke my heart on one side, we still got good players, the Padres. But obviously, you went on to win the World Series and the Joe Carter home run. I don't have to go there for you because you know it. I'm sure you live it all the time. Uh, but great stuff, Andrew. Fantastic breakdown of MLB betting and the season. We thank you for dropping by and dropping all that knowledge. You can check out Andrew at covers.com. But Andrew, tell people how they can follow you and keep in touch with what you're doing, what picks you're making, and all of that.
I'm making picks every single day, mostly player props for baseball. I find that's where the most value is. You can find them at Twitter or sorry, X at covers_Caley. I'm on Blue Sky at that handle or I think it's covers.Caley on Blue Sky as well. But every single day, lots of player props. That's where I find the Blue Jays picks every single day. I've been kind of tasked by covers to be the Blue Jays guy, try to take my bias out of it. But sometimes you can lean into that bias a bit and be like, hey, like I know they're not going to do well against this pitcher, and you can still find value. It's been an interesting time because as those fans, we've always been told like, hey, you can't. And I grew up as a trained journalist, so it's like, hey, like you
Oh,
have to
yeah.
take your bias out of stuff, but like you can lean into it sometimes too, and it can be helpful.
That's great advice. Andrew Caley, we appreciate it very much. We'll link all the stuff in the description below on the video. If you're listening to us on the audio side, you'll also see it in the description of the podcast. Andrew, we'll get you back on real soon. We appreciate you being with us.
That sounds great. Good luck with all your bets.